Hey, this is Mike Barnes, the financial first responder. Hey, I wanted to tell you something that I thought was majorly important today. We're getting close to Christmas. I don't know what day it is, but it's getting close. And started thinking, how could the financial first responder help other first responders save some money and possibly save their family's life? So for the next few minutes, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how you can remember one of these. Don't know if you can see it. That's a dime. So every time you see a dime, I want you to remember what I'm about to teach you. The dime is very important to you and your family and your loved ones. Let's see how that works out. So when we talk about a dime, now when you see this little silver dime, you're probably saying to yourself, what is this guy talking about? This guy's got to be crazy talking about a dime. Well, let me explain to you what the dime means. The dime, and I'm going to take and put this dime down. The dime actually means, we're going to spell it out. That's a D, a I, a M, and a E. Don't know if you can see that, but what does it stand for? First of all, because we're talking about income replacement rules and the things that you need to know as a first responder, i.e. law enforcement, veterans, emergency personnel, medical personnel, fire and rescue, the dime is very important because this dime equates to death. Let's get another one here. That's what happens on YouTube. It doesn't always work. Death and debt. Now, why are we talking about death and debt? In case you haven't figured it out, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. Look at me in my eyes. Look at me in my eyes. We are all going to die. That is a fact. Shake your head north and south, not east and west, north and south. As a first responder, we go to calls, and I say we because I'm still active as a first responder. We go to calls every day, and some of those calls, people are dead or they're about to die. Not at our hands, but because it's just their time to expire. So the next time you're going out on a call as a first responder, or you're where you're at working, I need you to start thinking about death and debt. We know death is like taxes. It's going to happen, right? Debt. So we're going to go through the acronym, and then I'll explain what we need to do from there. Now, so we talked about death and debt. Let's talk about income. Now, income, that's important. That's your salary. That's the paycheck. That's the overtime. That's all the stuff that you have coming into your house. Okay? Now, when we get to the M, I'm going to break it down like this. I really like to call it Mr. So we'll put a little R here. But before we make it Mr., it's going to be mortgage. For those of you who have a mortgage, you understand where I'm coming from. In Latin, mortgage means to the death. We're going to skip that. See the black and the green not working today. We're going to go to rent. Now rent, obviously if you're renting a place, you pay that landlord every month. And then we're going to go to education. Now, what do we mean by education? And this is known as the dime theory. That's why I showed you a dime earlier. Because if you were to die, or when you die, not if, when, you need to make sure that you have enough income replacement, i.e. life insurance, available to take care of your death. Now, my family owns a small funeral home in North Carolina. I can tell you that the average funeral is about $10,000. To be cremated is about $3,000. And of course, you have burial fees as a plot. Now, if you're a veteran, you probably can be buried in Arlington or some veteran cemetery by the state. But in Arlington right now, I believe there's a wait. I don't know how long the wait is. I haven't been asking. So, understand that's going to be somewhere between $3K and $10K. Okay? Or whatever your loved ones or your will said you want it done. Okay? Debt. The average American household, whatever their debt is, I think they say is about $68,000 right now. As the average American household has about $68,000 worth of debt. So let's take Tom, or we're gonna call him Johnson. Tom Johnson. Tom Johnson's been a veteran in the military, got out after serving in the Marine Corps, combat vet, went to Iraq, and he is now a police officer working at a local municipality. He gets his VA benefits. Tom is married, has maybe one child, and he's been on the force. Let's just say Tom Johnson is a rookie. So he's only been in the department 1 year, straight out of the academy 1 year. Let's say that his salary is $55,000 a year. Now let's say Tom was pretty frugal. He don't really have any debt. Tom said he don't like debt. So we're gonna take his debt down. We're gonna say he only has $10,000 in credit card debt. Okay, Tom Johnson. Now Tom, because he did the Officer Next Door program, he's living in a local area. Probably not the best part of the city, but he was able to get a house half price as long as he stays there for 3 to 5 years, depending on the program. And his mortgage that he has a $150,000 mortgage. If he stays past 3 years, he doesn't have to pay but $75,000 back. Okay? Depending on the program. Now, education. Now, Mr. Johnson, Officer Johnson, has a wife, and his wife is a nurse, and she has some student loan debt, right? Maybe she owes, say, 30 or 40,000. We'll give her 40, okay? So together, they own 50,000, right? And she wants to be buried. She don't want to be cremated. So we know that her portion would be about 10,000. Now, when we get to the income, he's a rookie, right? She's been a nurse for a little while. So let's say that she's probably at about 75,000. Okay? They have the same mortgage, and they got one child. And they want their child to go to school for 4 years. 4 years. And let's say that the average school costs about $25,000 per year for 4 years. So that's $100,000 worth of debt. Now, the way we get around this, and we figure this out, as a financial advisor, as a financial first responder, what I do is I talk to individuals like you, me, and I basically talk to them about these things. I talk about the dime theory, the death and debt, the income, the mortgage or the rent, and I talk about the education of their child. Now, they may say, hey, we'll pay for the first 2 years, but little Susie, she got to pay for the last 2. So you could cut that amount in half, or maybe she's going to an Ivy League school. Maybe that is half, right? But what we do is we say little Susie is 3. That means she's got 15 years before she's 18. So we know that we need to provide for 15 years of income for both of these people. Now, why are you saying both of these people? Because you both use your salary, right? Now, Tom probably is going to make more money eventually, but he's a rookie. He's not getting a lot of overtime, and he's just getting started, okay? All right. Now, so we know that if this was, well, let's make her 5. Let's make the math easy. Let's say she's 5. She's a kindergartner. So we know 55 times 5 means 550,000. And over here for Johnson's wife would be 750,000. We know that they have, for Johnson, you add that 10,000 to the 50,000, 150, that's 560. Now we take that 560, add the 150 to it. For simplistic purposes, we're at 7. And then we add this 100,000 to it. Tom needs $810,000 worth of income replacement. Now, let's talk about Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson had $40,000 worth of debt. Oh, I take that back. We have to add 10,000 in here, or another 3,000 because Tom didn't care whether he was cremated or buried. So 813,000 is what we need. Now, when we get to Miss Johnson, she's got that 750,000. She's got the 40,000, so that's 790 plus 150 or 250 to make it easier, and 10K. So we'll make this an even 8 right there. So that right there means, boom, 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 that Mrs. Johnson needs $1,050,000 worth of coverage. Now, this would be a quick and low down, easy way to do this. In the old days, and I've been an insurance agent since 1994, we used a whole bunch of different things. But this was a quick way on a legal pad to explain to you why you would need said life insurance, right? I'm not here to sell you anything. Honestly, you already been sold. Because you've been told that if you get insurance at work, that's all you need. And here's the problem with that. Let's say that you no longer work at that department. That means that you got to start over with your insurance coverage when you go to the next agency. So, with that said, wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it make sense as you being the man or woman of your household? Wouldn't it make sense to look at this dime theory, that death and debt, that income, that mortgage or rent, and that education, and say to yourself, self, I need income replacement. I need to figure out how to make sure that if something happens to me while I am on the job, yes, the job will pay you sometimes 5 times your salary. They tell you all these things. If you're disabled and you have all these things, but let's say you just drop dead of a heart attack because you weren't taking care of yourself. You weren't eating right. You weren't getting enough sleep. You weren't exercising. You were drinking too much and you were smoking too much. Kind of part of our profession, unfortunately. We need to change that. But one of the things you can do before you become uninsurable is think about the dime. See, that dime, you can go to your local insurance agent if you have one, or you could Google one, or you can follow the link below. I have a program designed through Ethos where we can get you coverage, and it only takes a few seconds. Ethos, right? We talk about ethics. We talk about becoming financially ethically strong, right? Taking care of your family, which is the #1 team for you. We need to look at our dime. We need to look at how much we think it'll cost to bury us or cremate us. We need to look at how much debt we're leaving behind. And yes, I know as long as you don't combine your college loans with your wife, she's not responsible for it. Or maybe you get public service forgiveness over time after paying for 10 years. Income, yeah, your income is going to go up. But here's the thing. if you don't have life insurance that is not tied to your agency or your job, you are you have failed your family if you are in that boat. Don't be in that boat. So what I want you to do is hit the link below or up or beside or wherever that daggone link is. And I want you to run a free quote on yourself. It's going to ask you simple stuff like what's your age, male, female, how much coverage you need. And for most people, they don't know what they need, so they just pick the cheapest thing. Don't be cheap. There are 3 types of coverages up there. You're going to have term, you're going to have universal life, and you're going to have whole life. Okay? Get something. Just understand. In another video, I'm going to be training you as a first responder on what the different products that are offered out there are. Because I'm tired of people taking advantage of us. Right? We've been beat down as police officers. All of us are wrong. It's our fault that people's kids are terrible. It's crazy the amount of every police officer beats unarmed kids or kills them. We know that's not true. Now, do we have to take control of the situation? Yes. Do we have to put people in hand restraints if you're from the military or in cuffs, civilian? Yes. Do we have to go to protests? Yes. Do we have to go to riots? Yes. I've been in all of those. Do we have to go to high-profile court cases? Yes. Been to those. Do we go to deaths? Yes. Do we go to armed robberies? Yes. Shootings? Yes. All these things we're talking about as law enforcement officers, we deal with on a daily basis. Emergency responses? Yes. Look, 2 weeks ago, I was in a car wreck in my patrol vehicle. And someone ran in front of me. Now, true, they got the ticket, but I thought about it for a second. I said, man, if I was gone tonight, would my family be straight? Thank God they would, because I had the sense to do certain things. And I'm saying to you, go write down on a piece of paper, death and debt. Let's talk about your income right now, where you're at. Look at whether you have mortgage or you have rent. If you're going to stay renting, just take that number and multiply it by 12. And then take that number and multiply it by how long you would have to take care of your youngest child. Education. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now. I have a college degree and I have a MBA in finance. Everybody don't need to go to school. Nor does everybody want to go to school. So if your child doesn't want to go to school, maybe you want to find them a technical school that they may be able to get some form of certification. Now, here's the thing. Our children don't know what they want to do. They may like some things, but until I have one child that went to college, graduated, went and got her master's, out of school. Got another child, he's in college. And then I got another child, he's a junior in high school. And I can tell you, all of them are different. They think about education differently. Your children would do the same thing too. So, with that said, I want you to start thinking about the dime theory. I want you to think about death and debt, income, your mortgage or your rent, and your education of your children. And if and when you pass on, will you have enough coverage to protect your family? Now, if you don't care about your family, this message is not for you. If you stayed this long listening, then maybe it is for you. But what I do know is this. We all gonna die, and we all gonna leave behind some people that either love us or hate us. I paid death claims of people, and I've always wanted to say, I wish I hadn't had to give you too much. But that's never the case. It's never enough. Expenses come up, things happen. Think about if something happens to you and something that you would want your child or your spouse, for that matter, to be able to do, they couldn't do because they don't have the money. And men, let me tell you something. Stop saying you're not going to leave your woman any money, because if you don't, you're just pushing her to get married to somebody else. Because trust me, women that get left money, they ain't getting married again. My wife will tell you, 30 years, something happened to me, she ain't getting married again. She's like, I'll have friends, but I ain't getting married again. So think about that for a second. Now, let's take the flip side of this. Let's say that something don't happen to Officer Johnson. Let's say something happens to his wife. We just went through COVID. Some of the healthcare professionals passed away because they got sick, taking care of others. Don't make the assumption because your wife or your spouse or your significant other makes less than you, or maybe they make more than you, that they don't need coverage either. It only takes 5 minutes or less to actually go through the ethos link that I'm going to put in the description. Why am I telling you this? Because I'm tired of people who serve so many people not being served. As a financial first responder, my goal is to take everybody, the 1%ers, and that's usually veterans, law enforcement, emergency medical personnel, and medical personnel. Those are usually the people that do the most for people, but have the least. And it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And we're going to keep talking and pounding, and we're going to keep beating this stuff in your head until you figure out that the dime theory is the beginning for you. It's not the end. We're going to talk about wealth building. We're going to talk about strategies moving forward to help you get where you want to be. And then I'm going to teach you how to live by the rule of 72 at some point. But you're going to have to stay tuned. You're going to have to hit the subscribe button. You're going to get the notifications. And then what I want you to do is tell 10 police officers that the crazy guy up in Maryland, D.C., Virginia area is talking about you, for you, because of you. Because I love all my brothers in blue and sisters. Regardless of race, doesn't matter. We're the ones that nobody cares about until they need something done. All I'm saying is, don't be the gal or girl or the guy or the gentleman or the woman, let's be correct here, that leaves your family in a trick bag. Now, I appreciate your time. It's around Christmas time. The best gift you can give your family is to know that if something happened to you, they're financially stable and they're able to be taken care of. Hit the link below, go into Ethos, get a quote, especially you do-it-yourselfers, because some of you won't sit in front of a financial professional. You will not come into an office. You will not get on a Zoom call. You're too busy. You're too busy making overtime money, moonlighting, doing everything else. And then you got your sleep, and then you got time for your spouse or your kids. And maybe that's not enough. So, with that said, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you hitting that like button. I appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. And I appreciate, as the financial first responder, being able to give you a message that might help you and help your family one day. Because we all know we're going to die. We just don't know when. Until we talk again, Merry Christmas, God bless, and I'll see you at the top. And I'm talking about the top of being financially free and able to retire with a life abundant because of the way you served our people in our community. God bless. Mike Barnes, the first responder.